My name is Josh Scogin, and I sing for the Chariot.
So you guys currently on tour. It seems like you're on two different tours with the Screaming Like You Mean It, and then on off dates. How does it feel to be on both tours in a sense?
Well, basically, it's all Screaming Like You Mean It. There's two legs of the tour. There's our side, which is like the ugly people, lesser big bands, all heavy, all the time bands, and then there's the other leg, which is all the like really pretty people who've sold a lot of records and stuff. So sometimes we join up. They call those gold dates, and sometimes they don't. Like tonight, it's just us, Oceano, Acacia Strain, and a bunch of other bands. So yeah, it's fun. Every day is a little different. It gets a little hectic, but I kind of like sort of not knowing every day, like if we're going on at 8 p.m. or if we're going on at 4 p.m. or it's always different. I kind of enjoy it, just not knowing what's going to be like.
Now are the crowds different at all? Are they all coming out?
Yeah, it's real different. I mean, it's every day has been awesome, but when it's together, you can definitely tell. Maybe a lot younger crowd, and either way, they don't know who the Chariot is, so it's really awesome for us because we get to just play to a bunch of blank faces. They're like, "Wait, what is this? Why does that guy look like he's from the '90s?" That sort of stuff. So it's awesome for us either way, but it's cool because we know a lot of these bands. Well, we know some of the bands, and then some of them we've just met on this tour, but all of them seem really cool. So it's very pleasant. A lot of times we get a lot of bands like this. They're not all so pleasant sometimes, and but everybody's pretty chill. No one's got like a lot of egos or anything. So it's really even on the gold side. Attack and We Came as Romans, and we've known We Came as Romans forever, and the Attack Deeds and stuff. So it's really pleasurable just to be able to hang out with people who just kind of love touring and playing shows, and share those sort of aspirations. So it's cool.
Absolutely.
It's a good tour for us.
So it started at the beginning of this month. Has anything memorable happened so far?
Yeah, our friend Cool Guy Devin got kicked out of a couple shows. I'm trying to think. There's been a couple of things here and there, but for the most part, it's been really, yeah. I can't think of anything fascinating. I always blank out when you ask because I'm sure there's something that I can think of. But one of our friends on this tour, Cool Guy Devin, he gets kicked out of most shows. I guess too much cool for one room. I don't know, but you'll probably see him tonight.
Awesome. Is there any city you guys look forward to playing the most when you're on tours, or?
Well, Atlanta's our hometown, so obviously we love that. We played there a couple nights ago, and it was probably one of my favorite shows of my life. I mean, it was just sort of a magical moment. It was awesome. Really just a good time. And then Texas always does as well. Florida. I know we're in Florida right now, but always really nice to us. It's only one state away, and this place in particular is always good to us. And then California always seems to be really good. But so yeah, I know there's a lot of them, but yeah, there's a lot of really cities that we just really enjoy playing, and this just happens to be one of them. So.
Now, right before you guys went out, a lot of fans were nervous you might have to cancel the tour with your bass player leaving. What did you guys do to fill that void and hit the road like you planned?
He actually told us. Commotion. Yeah, he actually told us sort of back in January that he was gonna quit and do school and stuff. So it wasn't like too much of a shock, oh no, what do we do? Run around or whatever. Basically, what we've done is we just our guitarist is running through two different pedals. They sort of A/B out, and one goes through an octave pedal, so it plays bass, and then one goes through his normal guitar rig. And bass in a heavy band, like unless you're something crazy, like just needs to play sort of what the guitar is playing or whatever. So it's cool for us because we're not a very tight band at all, like pretty sloppy, and so that actually like tightened everything up a whole lot. And it's cool because there's a lot of tricks we can do with sort of like, since the guitarist is running through both the bass and the guitar stuff. There's a lot of like really interesting tricks we can do that have kind of made it pretty interesting for us. We have such a short set on this tour. We're only playing 20 minutes, so we're having to cut songs every night. But it's cool to like the idea is to sort of explore that space and to sort of see where we can go with it. But so far it's been awesome for us. You know, more room on stage and stuff, which is very helpful for us because it can get pretty dangerous sometimes. And yeah, we just we're not really trying to fill his spot with any. I mean, you can't replace him. The dude's unreplaceable. So as of now, we're just rocking this until we either get bored of it or want to do something new.
Cool. Now you guys just finished recording One Week. Where'd you guys record at and who with?
We did it with Matt Goldman in Atlanta. He's done all of our records. Probably will continue to do all of our records. It's a good friend of ours, and when I'm not on tour, I'm usually up at the studio anyway, or hanging out, or maybe working with him, or working up on a band up there. So the whole learning curve is done. Like we don't have to deal with oh, do you like this? Do you not like this? He pretty much knows what we want, and he's very advantageous about making sure that even though we're going with the same producer every record, we try to figure out a way to throw a wrench in it and make sure it's not like, oh, we're just doing the same record every single time, and so that's something that we really appreciate and really enjoy with him, whereas some of the producers have done in the past, they have their thing, that's what they do, and it's this formula, and nothing. We don't ever like that with anything, with our live show or with recording or anything for the Chariot. We don't ever want it to be sort of like, oh, this is the same old, because if it gets boring for us, I think it'll be obvious, and then it's kind of time to move on, So for us, we just always try to keep it different and keep us on our toes and stuff. So and that's something he's very into as well. He's always trying to he doesn't care and we don't care we're the Chariot. You're supposed to do this. It's like, what is that? You know what I mean? You just do what you want to do at that moment, and then go with it, and hopefully everybody can sort of hang on for the ride, and so far so good. So
now, is that how when you guys write the record? I mean, is you just all go in and throw something different, or do you guys have inspiration when you write the song?
Yeah, we're always writing throughout the whole year. I mean, always writing. We've got 2 or 3 songs deep for whatever the next record's going to be now. Just either stuff in my own head or stuff in the some of the other people's own heads, or stuff we've actually garage band out, or whatever. But when it comes time to actually officially write the record, we'll take all of our pool ideas or whatever and sort of throw it in the mix, and then it very rarely it just slides right through unmessed with, but most of the time that idea will then get sort of torn apart and put back together in some form or fashion. And we're always very spontaneous and very impulsive with writing. We went into the studio with I don't even know, several songs, and they were a minute long, minute and a half long, just 2 minutes long, and then we would just add stuff in the studio or take stuff away in the studio. We tend to do better under pressure like that, just very impulsive, and someone has an idea, I think this could be better. We just go down that road, whatever that looks like, and we very rarely have ever looked back and compared, is this better than that? It's in theory, of course it's better. We're moving forward, I don't know. So, but we get bored real easily, I think we all have ADD. I think everyone has ADD this day and age. So, that's sort of why our sound is the way it is, Sometimes people refer to us as mathcore, which is, I think, very incorrect statement, because I feel like that's a very pre-calculated, this is weird because this time signature doesn't go with this time, and it's very planned out, and we're not that smart. We're just kind of, we'll have a couple riffs, and then we're like, okay, you've heard that riff now, let's move on to a new riff. And if you want to hear that riff again, play the song again, you know what I mean? It's
right.
Why, we don't need choruses and verses and stuff like that, unless that's what it feels like you need, So yeah, it's all a big impulse, which is really fun, because it's every time we record, it's these time stamps, it's these little, that stamp of time existed for then. I might not even be able to sort of vibe that a year from now, but as far as like like, oh yeah, like that's what we were going through at that point, you know. And I wrote a lot of lyrics when I was sitting in Russia. You know, we had been on tour in Russia for 2 weeks, and I thought to myself, like, oh, I want to try to write all the lyrics for this album. I didn't write all of them, but I ended up writing a good bit, you know. And just to be just to throw a curveball for my brain, you know, like writing in Russia. I mean, I'm so dependent on people in Russia. You know, I'm not in control in any way, shape, or form. I have to yes or no sir what they're saying because they know what's best. You know, and so it gave my lyrics a sort of twist that I've never had before. But at the end of the day, like, you know, we used some of those, didn't use some of those, but just being able to sort of like have that impulse and that sort of just like, I don't know, like that record has that mindset about it, you know, writing the lyrics in Russia and having that sort of in there. So now that I'm in the States and I've been here for several months now, and you know, when I read back on those lyrics, I'm like, oh yeah, like,
Brings
you know,
back
so
memories.
it's awesome to have that, you know, to have those sort of like documented, you know, frames of mind sort of captured in those impulse moments, you know.
Absolutely.
I like that, and I think that's how we sort of work the best most of the time.
Now, speaking of documentation, last month you guys released a video in the studio, one of the first days,
Yeah.
I believe. How was that whole recording process with that video? And one question a lot of people ask, and what's up with Stevie wearing the dress?
um, well, yeah, that even that song, you know, talking about impulse and stuff. We had this idea. We actually had it for Long Live, and it never really came out. But we had this idea. Just it was more of a challenge than a song. It was like, can we write a song with just piano and like, you know, heavy vocals? You know, will that feel okay? Will it find a home in the record? It was just a challenge. And while we were in Russia, something broke on stage, and again, sort of being impulsive, you know, it was kind of like this dead time, and I'm not good at telling jokes or anything, so I was just like, you know, we had been writing for the record, and so I just told Stevis, I was like, yo, just kick into something, you know, and he just started playing that. A riff is more of a is more pretty than anything, you know, we've really dealt with in the past. And so anyway, me and the drummer just looked at each other and just sort of kind of was like, let's go into it. Like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't even know where this song is going. I've never heard this before in my life. So we just kind of started playing, and I did the vocals that I've never really done before. It's kind of these sort of, it's just kind of an interesting, more kind of like ISIS sounding, I don't know, Neurosis kind of Old Man Gloom vibe. And so we went into it and we really liked it. And then the stuff got fixed, and we went into the song, into the rest of our set, you know. And then afterwards, we talked about it, like, we need to put that on the record somehow, you know. And so we mixed the two ideas of whatever that was, and this piano idea, you know. Can we do a piano and screaming song, and it sound okay? And when I went in there to do that video that you see on YouTube, when I went in there to do that, nobody had heard the lyrics. I'd only heard them in my brain, you know. I don't know what it's actually going to look like coming out, but a lot of those lyrics I'd written in Russia, and a lot of them were, you know, just very, I don't know, you know, just having that sort of like mentality of, you know, being dependent on someone else, and yeah, that song gets a little deeper than that, but basically I just went in there with, here's the lyrics, I don't really know how I'm going to say them, you know. And so when we recorded it, we fully knew, like, this may not even end up on the record, you know.
Right.
But let's try it. You know, it's going to take like a minute to try it, and if it works, it sounds awesome, cool. If it doesn't, no one will ever have to hear it. We'll just hit delete, and that'll be it. So when I did it, you know, we kind of went back in the studio, and everybody's like a little like misty-eyed, you know, like, whoa, what just happened? And I was really like stoked on how it went and everything. And so yeah, of course we just kept it. We were just like, let's do this, you know, let's run with this. And that's how that song stayed on the record, you know. We've done that before with other ideas and challenges, and they've never surfaced, you know, because I feel like we're our own worst critics, you know, and we'll be the first to be like, that it's a good idea, but we didn't pull it off, you know. And Stevis was wearing a dress because it was his birthday, and he got some tickets to go down to this like this, I don't know, bar, not even a bar thing down the street, but it has these like wild party things. And he was like, and on his birthday is like, you should dress up like a girl. He thought, I should dress up like a girl and go into this thing because some adventure will come of that. and it did.
That's
We'll leave
YouTube.
it at that.
Awesome. Well, is there anything you want to say to your fans before we let you go today?
Oh man, we just got through recording One Wing, which is our 5th full-length record, and everybody that starts a band ever in their life, whatever that looks like, they know it's just the smallest of windows that you're going to get to enjoy it and get to do it. And going into like, hey, let's start a band, it's only going to be there for a couple of years. And to be on the 5th record is very humbling, very grateful. I don't deserve it, and it's all thanks to people who come out to shows, who support bands, who support live gigs, maybe buy the record or whatever. That's always cool, whatever. And but just coming out and hanging out and getting to know um, people, getting to know individuals, not just being heads out there, that are just mindless bobbing heads, like actually knowing, like, oh yeah, the body on the person on the head, these individuals. That keeps that fire in our bellies and keeps us so motivated and stoked on what we do. And I love what we do. And just, yeah, like I said, I had no idea I'd be able to be 5 records deep in the Chariot, and still touring and still doing it. So thanks to everybody and anybody who's ever supported us and maybe will in the future. It's awesome, and there's really just no words to explain how awesome and grateful it is. So thanks.